Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games, and this is the definitive guide to Rin and Ciri Inseparable, a brand new Naya color commander first introduced with Core Set 2021. Now you can find a link in the description of this video for all of the cards that we talk about in this video, as well as my particular deck build. So let's have a look at Rin and Ciri Inseparable. 1 white, 1 green, 1 red, and 1. We get a legendary creature, Dog Cat. It's a 4/4. Now, whenever you cast a dog spell, you're going to go ahead and create a 1/1 green cat creature token. And whenever you cast a cat spell, you're going to create a 1/1 white dog creature token. You can also pay 1 white, 1 green, and red, tap Rin and Ciri Inseparable, and it deals damage equal to the number of dogs you control to any target. And then you go ahead and gain life equal to the number of cats you control. Now, Rin and Ciri really feels like a go wide deck, so we're going to need lots of ways to make lots of dogs and cats. We're going to need lots of ways to make those dogs and cats bigger, and of course we're going to want ways to annoy and harass our opponents. Now let's kick things off by having a look at how we can make all of our dogs and cats bigger. Lords are an integral part of any go-wide strategy, and Rin and Ciri Inseparable is definitely no exception. King of the Pride is a 3 mana cost lord that gives other cats we control +2/+1. And then of course we have Kahira, the Orphan Guard from Ikoria Lair Behemoths. This thing has Vigilance, and each other cat we control gets +1/+1 and also has Vigilance. Feline Sovereign is going to be an auto include in any Rin and Ciri deck. This is another brand new one from Core Set 2021. It's 3 mana cost lord, so other cats we control get +1/+1 and have protection from dogs. But whenever one or more cats we control deals combat damage to a player, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment that player controls. Regal Caracal, while being a little heavy on the mana side, is definitely a workhorse for this deck. When it enters the battlefield, we get 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink, and other cats we control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. While not being technically a lord, Hungry Lynx definitely needs to be a consideration for your deck. For just 2 mana, we get a 2/2 cat with cats we control have protection from rats. Now at the beginning of our end step, target opponent is going to create a 1/1 black rat creature token with Death Touch. However, whenever a rat dies, we're going to put a +1/+1 counter on each cat we control. And finally, Pack Leader is absolutely amazing. It's another brand new one from Core Set 2021. For just 1 white and 1, we get a 2/2 dog that gives other dogs we control +1/+1, and when Pack Leader attacks, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn to dogs you control. Alright, now that we've had a look at how we can make all of our cats and dogs bigger, let's look at how we can generate a bunch of dogs and cats to keep the pressure on our opponents. Nacatl Warpride is absolutely devastating in this deck. So this thing's a 3/3. Now whenever it attacks, it must be blocked by exactly 1 creature if able. And Nacatl Warpride creates X tokens that are tapped and attacking that are copies of Nacatl Warpride, where X is the number of creatures the defending player controls. But essentially what this guy is going to do for you is, assuming you have like a couple of lords or something in your corner, he's going to be really big. You're going to make a bunch of copies of them. Your opponent's going to be forced to block with every creature they control. So it acts as like a de facto board sweeper. And then on top of that, all your other cats and dogs will be able to get through because all of your opponent's creatures will be blocking the Warpride. Brimaz King of Orskos is another amazing token generator in that we're getting a 3/4 Vigilance cat for just 3 mana. Now whenever he attacks or blocks, you're going to create 1/1 white cat soldier tokens with Vigilance that are either attacking or blocking as well. Another strong include for this deck is Leonin War Leader. This thing is a 4/4 on its own, and whenever it attacks, you also create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink that are tapped and attacking. And Pride Sovereign from Hour of Devastation has the potential to become absolutely massive. This gets 3 mana for a 2/2, and he gets +1/+1 for each other cat you control. On top of that, you can pay 1 white and exert Pride Sovereign and create 2 1/1 cat creature tokens with lifelink. And finally, we have Mongrel Pack from Tempest. Now keep in mind with the Core Set 2021 release, hounds have been errata to become dogs. So Mongrel Pack is actually a dog. This thing is a really good include because it's a 4/1, and if it dies during combat, we create 4 other dog tokens that are 1/1 green creatures. The great thing about dogs and cats is there's a bunch of ways we can harass and annoy our opponents. Up next, let's look at how we can really turn down the screws. Alms Collector is one of those creatures that just can randomly shut down certain deck type strategies. So this thing is 4 mana for a flash 3/4, and if an opponent would draw 2 or more cards, instead you and that player each draw a card. Really effective against certain wheels decks and other card draw strategies. Leonin Arbiter is an auto include in that it puts attacks on players that want to search their libraries. And Prowling Serpapod offers up counterspell protection for practically your whole deck. Kasali Slingers gives us an Aura Shards type effect in that whenever we have a cat enter the battlefield, we can destroy target artifact or an enchantment. Spirit of the Hearth is a little on the expensive side, but should definitely be a consideration in that it's a 4/5 beater with flying, and it gives us hexproof. Miri, Weatherlight Duelist, works amazingly well in this deck in that whenever she attacks, each opponent can only block with 1 creature this combat. So she's perfect for just smashing through your opponent's lines and finishing off somebody with a bunch of creatures. And she provides the added benefit as long as she's tapped, only 1 creature can attack you each combat. And finally, Marisi, Breaker of the Coils, is a must-answer threat for your opponents. He makes it so your opponents can't cast spells during combat, and whenever one of your creatures deals combat damage to a player, goad each creature that player controls. So until your next turn, they're going to have to attack somebody that's not you, leaving the door wide open. There's quite a few utility creatures that are definitely worth a mention. Things like Orskos Explorer helps us with mana fixing. Temur Sabertooth is an amazing way to save some of our creatures while giving itself indestructible so it can survive a board wipe. And Resolute Watchdog is another low-cost way to save a valuable creature. Keeper of Fables helps keep our hand full by giving us that extra card draw whenever we deal combat damage to an opponent. Giselle Goldmane has that sort of overrun type of feel by giving all of our attacking creatures +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures we're attacking with. And finally, Feldar Sovereign seems like an auto include in this deck. Not only does it fit in with the cat theme, but it gives us a sort of alternate win con considering you will be gaining so much life. Stepping outside of the cat and dog theme for a moment, Mirror Entity slots really well into any tribal themed deck that employs white, while Archangel of Thune seems like a great include considering we'll be gaining so much life, and whenever we do, we'll be putting +1/+1 counters on each creature we control. Iroa's God of Victory is an absolute workhorse in this deck. For just 4 mana, we get a 7/4 indestructible god, and creatures we control can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures, and prevent all damage that would be dealt to attacking creatures we control. And Seedborn Muse is an absolute rock star in this deck. Not only will we have mana available on each of our opponent's turns, our creatures will always be untapped, and we'll be able to activate Rin and Ciri's ability every single turn, absolutely obliterating our opponent's board states and gaining a ton of life. We're going to be generating a ton of tokens in this deck, so it only makes sense that we run enchantments like Parallel Lives and Anointed Procession. Both of these are essentially the same effect, they're just in different colors. So if an effect would create 1 or more tokens under our control, it creates twice that many tokens instead. Doubling Season goes even further. Not only do we create twice as many tokens, but if an effect would put 1 or more counters on a permanent we control, it puts twice that many counters on that permanent instead. And finally, Primal Vigor also doubles the amount of tokens that we generate, and it doubles the amount of +1/+1 counters that we would place on any creatures. Now keep in mind, this does affect your opponents as well. Worldly Tutor and Eladamri's Call are excellent options to go fetch up whatever creature we happen to need. Whether we need another Lord, or we just want to grab one of those utility creatures we mentioned earlier, depending on what our opponent's board states look like. Return of the Wild Speaker is quickly becoming a commander staple in green. For just 5 mana, we can either choose to draw cards equal to the greatest power amongst non-human creatures we control, or non-human creatures we control get +3/+3 until end of turn, leading to some absolutely destructive swings. And Cathar's Crusade is a must include for this deck. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under our control, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. With all of the tokens that this deck generates, this is going to get out of hand quick. Of course, cards like Teferi's Protection and Flawless Maneuver offer up some much needed protection for our deck, but don't discount cards like Cleansing Nova. This deck should be able to recover fairly easily from a board wipe, so having the ability to go ahead and hit that reset button can be invaluable. Of course, there's lots of other cards that made it into the deck, so for the full deck list, go ahead and check out the description of this video. And if you can think of something that I haven't included that I should have, why don't you let me know in the comment section below? I really appreciate your insight. Alright, if you like this video, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me out, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.